All right, ladies and gentlemen. So Alabama was able to get a huge win over the rival, the little brother itself, the Auburn Tigers, 42-13 in a game that the score should have been 51-6 or 51-13, but it is what it is. First of all, I got to give a lot of credit to this Alabama defense. They have stepped up the last 4 games. I have been one of the people that's been kind of critiquing this defense, and rightfully damn so. I mean, when you give up 48 points to Ole Miss, when you kind of play the poor, play that we did on the defensive side of the ball the first 3 to 4 games of the season, yeah, I'm gonna, as football fans, as Alabama football fans, we are definitely going to criticize the defense. We're going to criticize Pete Golding. Even Nick Saban's going to get that blame as well. But I got to give credit where credit is due to both Pete Golding, to Nick Saban, and to the players on this football team, because they've played their asses off the last, I would say, ever since the second half of that Georgia game. They've played their asses off. And, we played against phenomenal offenses? No, we have not played against phenomenal offenses. But when you talk about the fundamentals of football, when you're talking about open field tackling, when it comes to gap assignments on the defensive line, when it comes to zone coverage, and when it comes to communication, Alabama has gotten so much better since the Georgia game, since the Ole Miss game. Let's go back to the Ole Miss game, because that was I have never seen Alabama's defense play that bad since I've been watching this football team since 2005. I have never seen Alabama's defense play that damn poorly ever. And, how far we've come, not just from a not just from a communication standpoint, and not just for how we play on the football field. It's from a death. It's just looking at a death perspective, man. Alabama has death. Like, think about that for a second, guys. Alabama, this football team has death on the defensive side of the ball. We haven't had death on the defensive side of the ball since 2017. Even in 2018, when we had Quentin Williams and we had Isaiah Buggs and Christian Miller, and, you had Anthony Jennings. Terrell Lewis was out for the rest of the season. You didn't have anybody else after those players. The same thing with 2019. We were too young. This year in 2020, we got death. I can name players after Fedarian Mathis, and after Abogbe, and after Young, and then there's Barmore, and then there's Timothy Smith, who looked like an anchor of that defense, and Dale, and then I can actually name players on that defensive line after the starters that if you put them in there, they're going to be equally as good, if not better. So I love the fact how we have a fresh rotation, and we can still stop the run and still stop the pass and create a pass rush in the interior. I was proud about that. You look at the secondary wise, we got depth there too. DeMarco Helms is better than Daniel Wright. Even though I feel like Daniel Wright didn't play that bad today. Even Daniel Wright was definitely the worst player on the field. He didn't play that bad, but compared to some of the other players we've seen, he was definitely the worst player. But yeah, we got depth with DeMarco Helms coming up, and then with Brian Branch there. You look at our secondary wise. I think Josh Jobe still needs work, especially man-to-man coverage. He keeps holding a lot, but Pat Surtain really didn't get tested a lot. We've seen Josh Jobe make some plays, but Malachi Moore was a monster. So I think that looking at this football team wise, we have depth for the first time since 2017, and it's young. It's young depth. It's not like it's experienced and old depth. It's young depth. So I'm just excited, and I'm proud of our boys of how we played today. I mean, we played a really good defensive game. Right? Tackling was great. We held our own on the offensive line. Now, granted, Tank Bigsby was not 100%. He was nowhere. He was nowhere near 100% today. He still gave it a go. Still made some plays. We saw Sean Shivers in there. Chris Richards, we saw what's his name? Williams. DJ Williams came in. Chris Richards didn't even come in until like the fourth quarter. But Alabama Bama still played well. They still played really, really well. They did not let the offensive line dominate them and dictate the offensive line, dictate the line of scrimmage. This defensive front played really well. The secondary came up, stepped up, played really well against the run as well. I thought that coverage-wise, we could have played a little bit better today, but granted, the first 3 quarters, we were really good. We did not let Bo Nix do what the hell he does best, and that's getting outside the pocket, making those freakish plays. For the most part, we contained him a lot. We made him uncomfortable. He did get out outside containment, and he was able to make some of those freakish plays. But we didn't make. But the problem was that last year he did way too much of that. Another problem was that we didn't have that last year. We had no pass rush. We had no pass rush, and they were able to run the ball extremely well as they averaged over close to 6 yards a carry against this Alabama front last year. This year alone, they did not reach the 6 yard per carry mark, and we did not let Bo Nix be comfortable in the pocket. We did not let him do those enough of those freakish plays. Now we were also gifted opportunities like Seth Williams, thanks to a Daniel Wright bust coverage. He dropped the touchdown pass, so that thankfully that happened to us. But for the most part, everything went in Alabama's favor. If you're an Auburn fan, you know that every time you play in Tuscaloosa, with the exception of 2010, you're gonna get your ass kicked. And Jordan Hare, who knows? Those freakish, crazy plays will probably happen next year, and it'll be a shootout or whatever the damn score is going to be next year, and it's gonna be stressful next year. I can just tell it's gonna be stressful. But I am gonna enjoy this win. 365 days. I get to make fun of Auburn fans. Yes, there actually are a lot of Auburn fans here in Buffalo, New York. There are a lot of Auburn fans here in Buffalo, New York. So I get to make fun of those guys for 365 days a year, and I get to troll. So I'm happy about that. Flipping to the offensive side of the ball, because I talked a lot about the defense. Flipping to the offensive side of the ball was really, I'll say this. Offensive line-wise, we did not run the ball well in the first quarter. Auburn pretty much controlled us at the line of scrimmage, and we did a much better job in the second half. We did a much better job in the second half. I feel like we just tired out Auburn's defense. Passing game wise, again, it's not that same explosiveness with Jalen Waddle, but for the most part, we were efficient. We did miss some opportunities, with John Mechie, especially when John Mechie looked like it was I forgot what type of route he ran. I think it was a go route that he ran, and yeah, it was bump and run coverage, and it was pretty much it was bump and run coverage, and I think it was either a fade or a bump or a go route. And John Mechie he didn't drop a touchdown, but he dropped at least a 20-yard gain from Mac Jones. But there were some missed opportunities here and there, but at the end of the day, Alabama was efficient enough on the offense side of the ball. We saw Jaleel Billingsley ball out. We saw Devontae Smith definitely ball out. Devontae Smith was a guy that almost had 200 receiving yards in this football game. I think he had, how many touchdowns did he? I think he had a couple of touchdowns or 3 touchdowns. I know Mechie definitely had a touchdown or 2. Mac Jones was able to ball out, and he's not the Heisman front runner, but he's definitely up there. Offensively, we just played well. We didn't have a great start. At least I felt like in our run game. But eventually, Najee Harris was able to get it going. This offensive line was able to create some holes and create some opportunities. And, we had a fumble in the goal line in the fourth quarter that we honestly should have scored by Brian Robinson. But, overall-wise, I was happy. We played a really, really good game. I don't think we had 500 yards, but we came pretty close to it. And this is a good Auburn defense. This is a pretty good Auburn defense. They're not as good as they were last year, but this is a pretty decent Auburn defense compared to some of the SEC defense we've seen before. We were finally able to beat a Tigers team. We haven't been in a Tigers team since 2018. So we finally got Auburn, and next week is LSU. Next week is LSU, and that's another Tiger that hopefully we can bring down. And after that, the sky's the limit. SEC championship, Arkansas, and then the SEC championship. I'm not gonna skip. Rat poison. We got Arkansas, then the SEC championship game, and then who knows, the sky is the limit after that. So anyway, guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. Make sure to also subscribe to the notification bell, especially if you guys want more Alabama content in the future. And to you Auburn fans out there, anyway, Jen716, aka Jen Sports, I'm out. Peace.